Well, wait times at our 3 local hubs airports have also soared. For tips on navigating this travel headache, we're joined now by the Point Sky managing editor, Becky Blaine. Good morning, Becky.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Well, passengers in New York have dealt with waiting an hour or sometimes more than that to get through security. When people head to the airport, how much earlier should they plan to arrive compared to normal?
We're recommending 3 hours before your plane even boards, and that's to allow for security line times if you have to check any bags. There are ways around it right now, and we suggest, going as light as you can. If you can carry on and not have to check a bag, that is another great way to save some time.
And what should travelers know about TSA pre-check and global entry to get them ahead of the line?
So if you already have pre-check, and global entry is currently just back online as of this last week, that was also shut down for a while also for people re-entering the U.S. from overseas trips. But if you already have pre-check, it's very important that you go into your airline profile and activate touchless ID. And that's over 50 airports across the United States have touchless ID technology now. And that will allow you to get into a different line, which can be shorter, because there is a regular TSA line, there is a pre-check line, there is a touchless ID line, and then in many airports, there's also Clear.
And that's especially important for these larger airports, especially in the New York City area. I was actually traveling over the weekend from Palm Springs, and my flight was delayed several times. Are there airlines that are offering any flexibility for travelers worried about delays or missed connections?
I think right now everybody is trying to kind of navigate, the long lines day by day. So we really suggest that travelers rely on themselves first and have a backup plan. Honestly, if you are stuck in a line, that's not necessarily the airline's fault. They don't know what time you arrived. They're also not in control of TSA. And so we recommend, if points and miles come in really handy right about now, where you can book a backup flight at a later time on another airline. You can just arrive to the airport extra early, but really activating those things. If you don't have Clear, that is probably your fastest option right now, because Clear, you can sign up online and you can do your biometrics at the airport, and they walk you to the front of the TSA line. And so that can come in very handy in a time like this as well.
And I think they're doing a promotion right now where they're offering the first 30 days for free. I've been seeing them at the airport. But you said it's on travelers. We have to make sure that we get to the airport early enough so that if there is a line, we can wait. Now, can you share some advice for booking future trips for the spring or even the summer?
Yes. And so, I always recommend looking ahead at pricing and things like that. We're already seeing airfare going up because of the crisis in the Middle East and the oil shortage that's happening. And we actually just published this week a list of like the 10 cheapest days to fly this summer, and they all happen to be in August. Now, August is really one of those times where the airlines have caught on to the fact that a lot of schools go back into session late in the summer now, before September, and it becomes this value season for some travelers. So if you're not tied to a school schedule, you might want to look into August and even September, what has now become the new shoulder season, and look at booking airfare there. For spring break, we still have, quite a few weeks of spring break left until we get to the Easter and Passover holidays. And so we still have at least probably 3 weeks of this where you're going to be looking at, peak travel times at the nation's airports and things like that. So, making sure that you're leaving enough time to get to the airport, making sure you're leaving enough time in between your flights too, if you have to connect somewhere. And again, remembering those tips like go carry on if you can and things like that to avoid and remove any delays possible in your trip.
Yeah, that's my go-to hack is 1, traveling light with a carry-on, but 2, trying to get that nonstop flight if you can.
Absolutely. And first thing in the morning too usually has the least amount of delays.
All right, Becky Blaine, thank you so much for joining us. And I see you have on your St. Patrick's Day green as well.
I do. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.